Hi guys, sorry I am gone today as you can see, and so you have to deal with me via video. Sorry. So we are starting on what is page 60 or 45 through 60. It's gonna be a little bit off on our book, but I'll leave notes on where to start. And you should have a copy of the questions ready to go as we read through this. He had chills and a fever in the morning. "You can't be sick," said Mildred. He closed his eyes over the hotness. "Yes. But you were all right last night." "No, I wasn't all right." He heard the relatives shouting in the parlor. Mildred stood over his bed curiously. She felt there. He saw her without opening his eyes. Her hair burnt by chemicals to a brittle straw. Her eyes, the kind cataract unseen, but suspect far behind the pupils. The reddening, pouting lips. The body as a thin praying mantis from dieting, in her flesh like white bacon. He could remember her no other way. So now we have a description of her. She's not looking too overly good. "Will you bring me some aspirin and water?" "Get up yourself," she said. "It's noon. You've slept 5 hours later than usual." "Will you turn the parlor off?" he asked. "It's my family." "Will you turn it off for a sick man?" "I'll turn it down." She went out of the room and did nothing to the parlor. Came back. "Is that better?" "Yeah, thanks," he said. "It's my favorite program," she said. "What about the aspirin?" "You've never been sick before," and she went away again. So, all right, we have just answered the first question. It asks, who is Mildred's family? Mildred looks at the people on TV as her family. So it's like us watching people on YouTube thinking they're our family. Obviously they're not, just she has no other way or ability to connect with anybody else. "Well, I'm sick now. I'm not going to work tonight. Call Beatty for me." "You acted funny last night," she returned, humming. "Where's my aspirin?" He glanced at the water glass she handed him. Ugh. She walked to the bath again. "Did something happen?" "A fire is all." "I had a nice evening," she said in the bathroom. "Doing what?" "Watching the parlor." "What was on?" "Programs." "What programs?" "Some of the best ever." "Who?" "Oh, you know, the bunch." "Yes, the bunch, the bunch, the bunch, the bunch." He pressed it to a point in his eyes, and suddenly the odor of kerosene that was on his hands made him vomit. Mildred came in, hunting. "Ugh, why'd you do that?" He looked with dismay at the floor. "We burned an old woman with her books." "It's a good thing the rug is washable." She fetched a mop and worked on it. I went to Helen's last night." "Couldn't you get the shows in our own parlor?" "Sure, but visiting is nice." All right, so we just went over an important thing. Montag just threw up on the floor, and Clarice is like, Mildred is, "Thank goodness the rug is washable." And he just told her that they burned an old lady with her books. And I'm not even sure if she comprehended that he was telling her that they killed somebody last night. Because she's just like, whatever, doesn't even care. She went out into the parlor. He heard her singing. "Mildred," he called. She returned, snapping her fingers softly. "Aren't you going to ask me about last night?" he asked. "What about it?" "We burned 1,000 books and a woman." "Well?" The parlor was exploding with sound. "We burned copies of Dante and Swift and Marcus Aurelius." "Wasn't he European?" Those are all names of very famous, very ancient authors that had a big impact on the written word today. Yeah, something like that. Wasn't he a radical? I've never read him. Yes, he was a radical. Mildred fiddled with the telephone. You don't expect me to call Captain Beatty, do you? You must. Don't shout at me, she said. I wasn't shouting. He was up in bed, suddenly engaged. And flushed, shaking. The parlor roared in hot air. I can't call him. Why can't you? Or I can't call him. I'm sick, said Montag. Why? Because you're afraid, he thought. A child feigning an illness, afraid to call after a moment's discussion. The conversation would run so. So he's saying that Mildred is so immature, so much like a child, that she's not willing to be a big girl and call the captain. Call Montag's boss, say he's calling in sick. And now he's playing through his head how the conversation would go between Mildred and Beatty the captain. Yes, Captain, I feel better already. I'll be in at 10 o'clock tonight. You're not sick, said Mildred. Montag fell back in bed. He reached under his pillow. The hidden book was still there. Remember, he stole a book from the old lady's home. You want to give up everything after all these years of working because of one night, because of one woman and her books? You should have seen her, Millie. She's nothing to me. She shouldn't have had those books. It was her responsibility. She should have thought about that. I hate her. She's got you going. The next thing you know, we'll be out. No house, no job, nothing. You weren't there. You didn't see, he said. There must be something in books, things we can't imagine, to make a woman stay in a burning house. There must be something there. You don't stay for nothing. So Montag is again realizing something more important is in these books. Why would this lady kill herself for nothing? These books must be important for some reason. She was simple-minded, said Mildred. She was rational as you and I, or perhaps even more than we are. It's water under the bridge, so again, Mildred can't even fathom showing an emotion for this lady. No, not water, fire. Have you ever seen a burned house? It smolders for days. This fire will last me the rest of my life. God, I've been trying to put it out of my mind. I'm crazy with trying. So he can't even forget about her, even though he's trying to forget about the lady. You should have thought about that before coming a fireman, Mildred said. Thought, he said? Was I even given a choice? My father, my grandfather were all firemen. In my sleep, I ran after them to be just like them. The parlor was playing a dance tune. This is the day you go on the early shift, said Mildred. You should have gone in 2 hours, I just noticed. It's not just the woman that died, said Montag. Last night, I thought about all the kerosene I've used over the past 10 years. And I thought about the books. And for the first time, I realized that a man is behind each one of those books. A man had to think them up. A man had to take his time to put them down on paper. I never even thought about that before. That's when Montag got out of bed. It took some man, a lifetime maybe, to put some of his thoughts down, looking around the world and life, then I come along, and in 2 minutes, boom, it's gone. So he's realizing the amount of work that was put into making these books, because it only takes a minute or two for him to burn the books to ashes. He's starting to feel guilty. Leave me alone, said Mildred. I didn't do anything. Let you alone? That's all very well, but how can I leave myself alone? We need we need not to be left alone. We really need to be bothered once in a while. How long is it since you were really bothered about something important? About something, really? Then he shut up, for he remembered last week, and the two white stones staring up at the ceiling, and the pump snake with the probing eyes, and the two soap-faced men with cigarettes moving in their mouths, and they talked. But that was Mildred was so deep inside of another, and so bothered, really bothered, that the two women had never met. He turned away. So he's just thinking about, reminiscing about Mildred being passed out on the bed from ODing, taking too many sleeping pills. He turned away. Mildred said, well, now you've done it. Out front of house, look who's here. I don't care, said Montag. So who does Montag have outside in front of the house? There's a Phoenix car that just drove up in a black shirt with an orange snake stitched on the arm, coming up the sidewalk. Okay, we're going to pause there. That'll take you to questions 1 for sure, and we'll come up on 2 here soon.